I'm proud to announce, in conjunction with our 100th anniversary, that the Georgia Chamber is introducing a new program called GeorgiaLEADS in order to develop the next 100 years worth of leaders for the state of Georgia. We started by looking at how could we do a better job of teaching soft skills earlier in the system, not waiting until they were in high school, but actually talking to students in kindergarten through 5th grade. Well, that led us to sit down and talk with the University of Georgia's J.W. Fanning Leadership Institute. They've been doing great work in this space for decades. And so we had a long discussion with them. How can we actually go out, get into communities, and really make a difference for the business community by having more qualified workers ready to go after school? And then how can we help our communities be stronger by having people with the better leadership skills over the long term? And so that's really the impetus, is how do we address those two questions that led us to create GeorgiaLEADS. The inspiration for creating GeorgiaLEADS really came from our members. If we're going to be a good organization, and we're going to be good servant leaders, and we're going to respond to the needs that we hear from our communities, from our members, and what we heard from them is, how do we make Georgia more competitive? Well, part of how we do that is to make Georgians more competitive, and part of how we do that is to give them better skills so that they can go out into the world and they can be successful. In the first 100 years of the Georgia Chamber, one of the marquee programs that we launched was Leadership Georgia. We did that in conjunction with J.W. Fanning Institute at the University of Georgia, and for over 40 years that program has given us great Georgia leaders and continues to be really a model for the rest of the country about how to do adult leadership. And so that's really where the partnership with the University of Georgia came from, is how do we then reach out into every community in Georgia to build better leadership programs, better skills training for young men and women, for men and women in college, and for our adult leadership programs, and eventually regional leadership programs. So really, at the end of the day, we've developed a pipeline of leadership that starts in kindergarten and goes all the way through Leadership Georgia. And I think if we do that right and we get the program right in the long term, we're going to see significant benefits in our local communities as well as in our workforce. GeorgiaLEADS is going to focus on skills training. But what we see now is a lack of some of the leadership skills that many of us probably learned in after-school programs or at church or from our parents. Our students today aren't getting that. Now, we're seeing that already in some communities in Georgia, and it's having an incredible impact, but we want to do this statewide and to give every community in Georgia the opportunity to have this type of leadership training, whether it's for their youngest citizens or it's for their adults, or hopefully in a regional atmosphere as well. So we really think this is going to be a different approach to leadership training than we've seen in the last 50 years in Georgia. And if GeorgiaLEADS is successful, the ultimate benefit for us is we're going to have better leaders. And at the end of the day, better leaders make the difference. I can take you to two communities in Georgia that have the same assets, the same location. One's successful and one's not. And the one that's successful is because they have a history of strong leadership, men and women from the business community that get involved in government, that work together with government, that tackle issues, that figure out solutions. Those are the communities that are successful. They're the ones that recruit new businesses, that grow the companies that are there. And those communities where we don't have strong leadership, we see companies skip over and move on because they don't see the right atmosphere locally for business success. And so if the individuals that are growing up in those communities can stay there, they can have this training, they can understand a more global picture, they'll be better leaders, we'll have better economic development, and we'll have better job creation, and we'll see more of our communities be successful so that our kids stay there and our grandkids stay there, and those communities can thrive.